Hi, here's an intro to this summary video. There's 32 separate chapters discussing different points that, points of information and knowledge that I've gained through this season, growing different things. And so you can go to individual chapters. I'll have all the times marked out in the written summary at the beginning of the video, so you don't have to go through the whole thing at once. It's going to be fairly long, and basically it's a summation of the growing season, and it's specifically focusing on the learnings that I've had over that season. So hope you enjoy it. Yeah, you get something out of it, and that's the whole reason we're doing this. Have a good day, no matter what. Thanks. Bye-bye. So this roll-up side is allowing good air circulation inside and some things to sprawl out to the outside. And my sweet peas, or not sweet peas, but my sugar snap peas, they're coming along, but again, shady in here. So, that's the downside of over lushness, is certain things, we have certain requirements, they just don't do as well as they would in optimum conditions. You can see beans, which are not doing too well here at the moment. I think maybe too wet, not enough sun. My brassica bed is not doing well, but I put in the BT, sprayed all the brassicas with BT, and did wonders. You'll see in the other high tunnel. But I've got red cabbage and broccoli here that have been revived, so cool weather coming. So I got more harvest to come out of this bed. Swiss chard in this green stock has done great, and I've harvested once, and this is just about ready to harvest. Now, unfortunately, I get a bug of some sort, like a leaf miner, getting in. You can see on this leaf, it's just destroying these leaves. So I'm not sure what that is, but that's been a problem. Outside on my deck, and it's where I moved, disassembled the second green stock, my tomato factory. I moved it out here and strung it up, and I've been growing tomatoes ever since. And I've got some tomatoes, you can see here. Plants have done well. Unfortunately, I think the reality is, even though you can see a few little ripe ones here, the reality with the tomatoes is that above the railing, it's too windy up here, and things are too weather beaten, So it's not really an ideal spot for tomatoes, although, like, look at this plant. That was a bare stalk, and now it's got 2-foot tomato plants, tons of flowers, and quite a few tomatoes coming to ripeness. It's good enough. These will go for a while yet until I get my first frost, which right now is going to be about 10 days from now. That's the forecast, at least. But it's only -1 projected, so, you know, these might survive, and I may get another month, so we'll see. Now, one of the beauties of the green stalk was I was able to propagate through cuttings and rooting the growing tips of these tomatoes and fill, you know, half of my hothouse and other pots with tomatoes, so that's been great. Now what I'm doing is I'm taking cuttings from the hothouse. I've got 6 here. They will get rooted and they're going to go into the tower garden. So be able to avoid paying, you know, $3 to $15 for a little tomato plant each. Get some early starts on tomatoes. House has worked fantastic, although I was a little late getting stuff in here. But I've kept it pruned. I kept everything watered. I'm starting to harvest ripe tomatoes. You know, if I get a serious frost, then I'll just pick the green ones. But this has been good, and you know, I may leave it, but this is slated for removal, compassed into another. Cherry tomatoes and other tomatoes got in from the hothouse. Look, I've got a cherry, another cherry tree. Evans cherry looks like growing. It's 6 feet tall, so what I'm planning on doing is cutting back this mock orange and staking this cherry, putting another cherry tree right here. So it's fantastic. Chest freezer. And to show you some of our bounty 2022 cherries, beans, other stuff underneath. So that is full. Once they've produced and been harvested in, you know, 5 to 6 weeks, it'll be over. Then I'll cut back some of these productive vines, which are done, and allow the new vines that are growing underneath space, all the nutrients, to go into them. Like here's one right here. This is a new vine. No fruit on this one. As you can see, no fruiting stalks. But, you know, I want that to grow up 6 or 8 feet for next year. That'll happen as these old vines get removed. Raspberries are all harvested, and I've thinned out all the old canes. And then if you look inside, these are all the new canes getting established, and they are already, look at those, look at the height of those. This is getting higher and higher, better and better. Those are like 7 feet tall already. So there should be another fantastic harvest next year. In a natural setting, that probably wouldn't happen because there's just not enough light and the old vines wouldn't be removed. So by intervening, removing things once they're spent, I'm actually accelerating the growth for these new vines. Now, one of the things I wanted to mention is since I put the constraints on the raspberries, things have grown up. So like here's one now, and that's a new one there, no fruit. It is reaching for light, so it's growing tall, tall, tall. So I'm forcing things to grow taller, which is actually good from my point of view because I'm getting more fruit, just as long as I can constrain them. And the same thing I found has happened after putting the mini greenhouses in. So here's my narrow alleyway. On the one side, the building, and they're to the south. And I found with these peonies, they have grown like over a foot taller than normal, and than they have in the past years. And again, I think they're reaching for light because I'm getting pretty lush. So it's definitely impacting things. And I think the same is going to happen on this pear tree. This is a multi-pear. Last year I had 2 pears. And this year I've got dozens of pears on it. And you can see some getting established. You see that new growth, it's going up. So it's going up quite nicely. And it wants to get up above this lower level of bushes and perennials that are crowding from below. On the other side of my driveway bed, I've got a few sunflowers, but mostly raspberries. You can see I've got some harvest. Like these berries are ripe. It's pretty minor, but then I've got new things taking and infilling, like in this spot here in the mid-bed, there's a lot of them. I got some producing canes, which will be coming out, and then primo canes, which will be producing next year. I've been able to expand the distribution, and I just counted the other day, I've got 40 separate little canes, so that's pretty good, but it's a big area. I've got 3 to 4 rooted canes in pots in the back, so I've got to transplant those in here, get them established before freeze up. And then hopefully these things will continue to grow. And they're not very tall. I think that's possibly because of light, but also they don't have good soil. So if they grow up, then I may have to put in some T-posts and some sort of a trellis fence system that I can attach these things to. But yeah, it's coming along, slow but surely. On this side, there's my red and black currants. My elderberry, small one there. I've got other berries in there. And this is my thornless blackberry, which really took off. There's another one. And another one. So I've got thornless blackberry. I've got golden raspberries. There's one there with a couple of fruits on it. Another one behind, and more blackberry. So hopefully those will really work out going forward. This is the asparagus bed. It's doing fantastic. Once I weeded it, then it just came to life, and I've got over 40 stalks in there, so that's good. And here is my asparagus is finally really taken off. So yeah, I'm so excited about this. I bought a few additional roots, put them in, but yeah, this is so great. Here's my west side front bed, and you can see I've got some sunflowers growing up, and I got some big ones that are getting ready to flower, and I've got this lower one here, which must be a different variety, and it's got 5 or 6 arms already. So I kind of like that for the bed, so I think next year I may strategically put more in here and get a big sunflower bed. Sunflowers, which worked well. And then as we go out, get some full-size sunflowers here. That did very well. There's a perennial plant that's growing slowly. There's one sunflower. Here's the other, looking fantastic. And here's the east side of my property. You can see I just scattered sunflower seeds on the ground, and look at these things popped up. Now, unfortunately, put them in a little bit too late, so you know I'm not going to get any flowers or sunflower seeds. But you know, I think it's definitely something I can do next year. Start them earlier or do seedlings and actually produce some sunflowers. Economically, the most profitable thing on my property is compost. It's amazing. Here is compost. It's all ready to go. I mixed in some charcoal for biochar a couple months ago. It's all ready to go. It's looking good. And as soon as the beds are finished, then I'll top them up. Here's another bed. This one is basically ready to go too. So, you know, I've got I got 20 or 30 cubic feet of stuff. So that's hundreds of dollars. And then my fill zone, which is a big area, it's right up to the top. And as soon as these other beds are emptied, then I'll turn this into this secondary bed, and then I'll start from the ground level on this guy again. So this has been great. I just need to get it onto the beds. I still haven't hooked up my rain barrel, so I need to do that. And compost has been good. I've got 1, 2, 3. This is the finishing bin. It's been ready for a while, but that'll go on top of my grow beds, my annual beds. You can see the biochar I added in. This one is basically ready as well, so I'll have lots of material to top up all the beds. And then this is my other one, which is full, but as soon as I move out the other 2 bins, then I'll turn this, flip it, and then this will be the filling spot going forward. Oh, about 6 months ago, 8 months ago, I moved them into the furnace room because it was too cold on the concrete in the outer wall. But you can see here, ooh, got lots of worms. They're just doing gangbusters. All retreating. You know, I got 2 full bins, and they're just about ready to harvest the worm castings. Front step, I've got a hanging basket, which I purchased, and that's just been incredible. All season blooms come, they expire, and then new ones just pop out. And then this is a big urn that I put together, and that's been incredible also. Look at those. It's just beautiful color and bloom for the whole season. So I'm going to do that again. That has been excellent. It's looking magnificent. Beautiful It's not spread much, so I'm not sure what the deal is. My phlox is spreading quite a bit. It's good. And here's my multi-plum with no plums this year. But second year, it's getting established, so that's fine. Keep working on it. My deck growing space, what I've normally done is had window boxes hanging on the rail, and I've got 6 of those. They've worked pretty well. They're filled with pansies this year. And then I've got geraniums in front. Now, that's worked well. And what I did this year is I added this structure outside and got a makeshift cover to shade this window on the inside and to provide like a little private room area. And that has actually worked tremendously well. But the cover is not the greatest, so what I would likely do is either find a proper cover for this structure, which I got for free with no cover, or just take this down and get a proper awning attached to that. Now, you also see my green stock, my tomato factory green stock. I deconstructed, I moved out here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections, and I've got them growing tomatoes strung up. I haven't got a lot of tomatoes from that yet, but coming, and it's pretty warm. It's basically the end of August, and I've gotten a clear 2 weeks with no frost in sight, so that's great. So I will get some tomatoes here. You know, there are a few that are coming, and you see it's strung up. You know, there's a few there, there's a few there, and there's some others that are coming along. So, you know, I don't mind using the space, but eventually next year I'll probably put those green stalks, 1 in each of the high tunnels on a that I can rotating base, so it'll be much more effective. Alright, we're making milk jug planters. Cutting drainage holes in the bottom, cutting them, filling with dirt, and then we'll plant. For winter planting. I'm going to do these, then we're going to tape them back up, then we're going to put them outside. Just keep them moist. Huh?
This stuff is rock hard.
No, it's not. It's got to break it up.
Well, it's like all stuck together. And it's so hard. It's like one big brick.
Work on it. We're doing some more prepping. Went so well, hopefully it works, or else I'm really behind the 8 ball. But it seems like a fast way to do it. And the grapes here are doing fantastic. I just pruned them yesterday, where I pruned off excess growth away from these bunches, but see if I can't get some actual harvest from these grapes. But look at all these bunches. This is doing fantastic. Doing fantastic this year. And actually, to be perfectly honest, they're starting to ripen up. Look at those babies. Sweet. I'm letting that one stem go up. I want it to go up and grab onto the side of the structure up there. So it'll expand the grapes. This side I've got another grape I just put in this year. It's done fantastic. I'm gonna have to prune that up later, but yeah, this one's taking very well as well. Here's an overview of the Arctic kiwis. You can see they're doing quite well. They're maturing, not ripe yet, but you know, there's a lot of them, so that's good. You can see how they're doing. So it hasn't grown up too far, although look at, I've got fruit way up in the eaves up there. Wait for those to fall. But I've got fruit out here. I've got a big gap, so I gotta do some pruning. That's the female. This is the male over here. Male has done really well. It's going crazy. So I got to prune, and hopefully I can train it to go down and join up with my other ones down in the trellis down there. Now my apple here, hey, I harvested 5 apples off of it. So considering all the pruning and the regrowth, you can see all those new branches. It's done well. You know, I'll prune it up a little more next year, but should have a fantastic crop next year. And my beds along the side of the hoop house, beans and peas, didn't do great. Another massive cherry bush getting established. So what I'm planning on doing is I've got all the doors and windows, so I'm going to take this down, move it, perhaps the community bed, perhaps to the other end, I'm not sure. Build a third high tunnel mini greenhouse. My plum tree, no fruit this year, but you know, I've got a much better shape, and hopefully be positioned for success next year. Here along the fence inside, I'm getting some more cherries established, more bee balm for pollinators. Columbine, same thing, another cherry bush established. So what I want to do next year is maybe put some squash in here and just take advantage of the heat coming off of this building. So try that. I'll harvest. I just wanted to bring you down to the second high tunnel. Same thing, and there's borage. It's a little nursery for raspberry cuttings, Egyptian walking onions, ground cherries, mint. I need to transplant it to the ground. There's garlics and celery here, which is done very well. I've harvested 2 or 3 times. Also, I talked about all those tomato cuttings. So I had an excess, so I just put them in pots, and I've got some harvest off those pots. Here's one right here. Here's the canning central, canning and freezing trays I use for freezing my berries and fruit. Canning 10 pounds of cucumbers, pickling cucumbers, just been finished off. So here's the nice looking jars. So you got about 30 jars of pickles. Yeah, putting away quite a few things, so that's nice. for those that might have noticed, I made some changes in here. This is my sunroom. That was my window with the big shelves in front of it. Those have been moved over to the side. I was going to put the freeze dryer on that shelf, but electrically it's not going to work, so I'll use it for something else. My 1, 2, 3 bays for seeds starting should be good. And here's my seed collecting. Bunch of stuff. Bee balm, Egyptian walking onions, borage, dill, radish, lupin, sweet peas, black-eyed Susan, and cheap seeds I got for $1 a pack, so hey, that's pretty good. Just a little walk around the back, a little bit farther out, kind of shaking up from back here. That's pretty much my whole property in that shot right there, side to side. Of course, going up to the house and the side yards right up in front as well. So that's what she looks like. Over and out. And then finally, I've got some more herbs here. Lemongrass, chives, sage. I've got to gather seed and transplant into the ground because these are evergreen, winter hardy. So in addition to that, I was planning some more work on the outside of these mini greenhouses. Here's mini greenhouse number 1, doing very well inside, and some grapes. Mini greenhouse number 2. Sorry, these are cherries. My cherry bushes are getting ripe, so I need to come and pick some cherries. It's kind of funny because my small Evans cherry tree is ripe. I picked some today, but the big one is, they're still green, so I'm not sure what's going on, but anyway, that's that. Another cherry here that is looking in pretty bad shape, and I think mostly that's because I really roughed it up in the construction of this mini greenhouse. And look at this grape here. Wow, this is what I really want to see. Look at all those grapes. Man, I had 1 cluster last year. This year, I've got a lot. Wow, look at these guys in here. Nice. Nice. So that's what I'm trying to accomplish by those other grapes, is to have them grow up and then have these clusters hanging down underneath. And well, this one took several years to get established, but it's coming. Now, down at near the end of the property, I've got another grape that I put in last year, and it is doing great, very well. It's doing fantastic. Just climbed right up onto that fence. Oh yeah, there is 1 cluster underneath there. Not expecting much, but that can keep getting established. That'll be great. Now, in terms of the rest of this project, if you look in the background, there's the purple leaf crabapple in the background. And I was planning to take that out and a honeysuckle in behind it and replace it with a mulberry tree, hardy mulberry from Green Barn in Montreal. And I'm not going to get around to that this year. I think what I'll do is I'll leave that purple leaf tree in, and in behind, which has some space, I'll take the honeysuckle out and get it all prepared for spring planting of a mulberry. Now, I was initially going to put persimmons in the back where I put the grapes underneath the deck, but doing more research, the persimmons are, zone 4 to 5, marginally hardy, and I just felt that I would do better putting the grapes in there, which should be hardy in zone 4, and I think they'll be fine there. Also, I've got the 2 mini greenhouses, and I have this hothouse, which is, this is the 2nd full year of the hothouse, and the plastic on it is supposed to last like 3 to 5 years. So 2nd year, a couple more years, and that'll be in tatters. And then what I think I'm going to do is build another 3rd mini greenhouse, replacing that in that spot, and put my persimmons in that space. So that's the plan. You can see here, got an overview of the whole property. There's my structures, there's my house. So I go from those columnar blue spruce on the one side, on one corner, southwest corner, and over to that bird feeder on my other corner where I've got grapes. I've got the hothouse, 2 mini greenhouses, and stuff up on the deck. So that's the overview, and I think, outside of prepping for that mulberry, which won't be arriving till next spring, I'm probably done on this project for the time being. So that was fun. It's pretty drastic cutting everything out, and but now I've got the new stuff planted, and I still have got a good month of growth before it has to harden off. So I think they'll be fine. Yeah, in another 2 years at the most, they'll be looking very much similar to what I had before, but it should be fully productive. And That's one of my primary goals. So have a good day, keep on growing, have fun while you're doing it. West side, we have a new neighbor, and we tore out those fence strips that these things down here. I tore those out. So now I get light in here. So eventually I'll be planting something along this fence. Again, maybe green beans. It's my cherry, and I pruned it. I wanted to fill in this gap, this hole here. So I got some branches that are growing in, one on the side, and especially this lower one just come out, and so I want to remove this as a path. Move up the side. I've got some flowers established here. I love that spot. And my horseradish, took that from a cutting in Calgary. It's fantastic. All right, here we are on the side yard on my path coming down under a crabapple tree, and I've got my sea buckthorns. A female, and my male, that little guy behind, but it wasn't doing well, so I got another male, just watering it in. Here's my Josta berries. There's one Josta berry, really thriving. Hazelburt, getting established, another Josta berry, and black raspberry. Elsewhere along that trellis, some more hardy kiwi. Oh, I guess another thing I did is I got these 2 barrels. I actually locally got a hold of some composted donkey poop. So I got half a barrel full, and I've used it to create a manure tea that I put on a few spots. Some of the new plantings I need to put into my plan to dig this out underneath the fence. I can plant sugar snaps. I haven't got around to it, so I will dig it out about a foot and then fill it with compost and be ready for next year planting. That I wanted to do is to add citrus, and I have. Here's a Meyer lemon. This is actually given to us by our neighbor, and it had, when it on this one tiny branch here, it's about 15 inches long, it had 50 flowers, and out of those 50 flowers I've got 8 tiny little lemons that managed to get pollinated and are developing. And I've got a new branch, a couple of branches that have been doing great, so letting that get established, and I'll transplant it and grow it inside here. And in the meantime, this other branch has done massively well in front of this window. You can see the size of the leaves of the new branch versus the old branch. So I think that's probably more water and fertilization. But yeah, it's doing well, it's coming along, and hopefully soon we'll get some flower buds on that new side. One of the concepts that you see in many forest systems, like in jungle systems, is that all the space has life. Every available space, there's a rush to put plants there, and that includes vertically. So in this case, I've got apricot getting established right there. I've got squash. I've got annuals in the ground, and some of those beans are pole beans, so they'll grow up on the vines. So I've got vining things. Got a grape in the corner, which is going to grow up. And then right over the top, up high, where it's warmer, I've got pots where I've grown peppers. As you can see, peppers are doing very well. This is the first time I've actually been able to get peppers. So I got some nice banana peppers there, and other bell peppers just getting established. Another interesting thing in terms of too lush is how much is too much. Now here, the space is covered. Here's a ground cover. Now, can I effectively grow a ground cover with oregano, with sage and dill, with my tree, and underneath with these runner beans, Swiss chard, onions, and squash? Now, it remains to be seen. Right now, the space is getting pretty full. I'm not really sure what's going to happen. We'll find out. One of the reasons I've got the clover, different types of clover, is because it's a nitrogen fixer, and it's going to fix nitrogen into the soil. So if they can grow effectively, fix nitrogen, which is going to feed the other plants, then it could be a symbiotic relationship that will work beneficial to all. Remains to be seen how these beans do. So far, they're looking pretty good. One of my plans was to have my grapes in the four corners. The grapes would come up, but train them up these trellises to the center and come to the top, and they would go right up to the roof. Now also in here I put 4 fruit trees. There's a peach, here's an apium just getting established. Now these are dwarf stock trees, but they're still going to grow unhindered 10 to 15 feet, 8 to 10 feet wide. So far beyond the space that's allotted within this greenhouse. I'm going to have to prune heavily, and the pruning will shape them as they approach the sidewalls. And also there'll be a limit up top. Is in this mini greenhouse, the peak is 12 feet, and in the other one, it's about 11 feet. High tunnel west, my dill is done great. I harvested for pickling and closed up the sides here yesterday. So here's apricot. It's done very, very well, getting established. And I clean out the green beans out of this bed. But Swiss chard and onions are still here. They should thrive for the next month or so. This is a nectarine, which it's starting to come now, but kind of late, so I don't know. We'll see what happens. Grape in the corner, done well. I've got some sunflowers, pretty tall ones. I got a good head on that one up there in the corner. This is the regrowth of my fig, which is done very well, and I haven't moved it, so I think it's really loved that. But it's going to lose its leaves. You can see new growth. Plan is to bring it inside, back up into the master bath, into that tub, and with more lights and lights in behind, I'll set it in a position, just leave it. So hopefully that'll be good for it. But the leaves are loving it here. No spider mites, and you see new growth on these stems, but no fruit yet. In the corner, another grape getting established. Here's my peach tree. It's done very well. Hopefully it'll survive. And then in the bed, Swiss chard, onions still going. This is an apium. Again, it's done fantastic. Kicked out some totally new branches. Got established. It's another grape that's doing well. So in this high tunnel, I got 3 out of the 4 corners grape going. Here's my herbs. This is oregano here. Rosemary. That's been very good. And then up on top, I've already harvested, but I had on this high shelf, I grew peppers, and that did fantastic. Actually, I'm getting some more flowers, so maybe I'll get some more peppers. I'm still debating about bringing them inside. I've seen videos where you basically take all the dirt off, clean off the roots, and then dip them in soapy water and neem to kill any eggs and bugs, and then repot them. And I just strip off all the leaves and cut off the branches to overwinter. So we'll see. Possibility. Ventilation is one of the reasons I have these roll-up sides, which I've seen in high tunnels on YouTube. So the idea that it's going to keep it cool inside the hothouses and provide good ventilation airflow to strengthen the plants and to keep disease down. And it seems to be doing a pretty good job so far. Second high tunnel. Look at those filberts. They're up to the roof already. Wow. On that side. That's done very well. This one has done well too, but it got covered by the beans. So look at those purple beans. I just harvested them yesterday. They're 10 feet. I got a nice harvest, 73 ounces of beans. And then after here's my Egyptian walking onions. I'm just doing bulbs and stalks later. I sprayed BT, and now my collards are doing fantastic. Here's a Kalette doing fantastic. Some more sage, and here's my other thing. I just rotate it, so now everything gets the sun. And here I've got turnips, grapes, and Chinese broccoli. I've decided that I need to replace some of the trees and bushes that I put in initially and replace it with more productive species. Okay, here's my helpers. They're working, and They're going to help me start this process. So one of the things we're going to do is we're going to take out this Virginia creeper. And it's very beautiful. It's got fantastic color in the fall. And it's very beautiful in the summer, as you can see, arching down. But it takes up a tremendous amount of room. It extends into other trees. And it is just too vigorous for what I need. So we're going to remove it. Actually, I'm going to cut it at the roots. The second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out this hawthorn. This hawthorn has been great. It's really taken off. From a couple years ago, I pruned it back heavy because of the apple cedar rust. And it's just extended, it's like tripled in size. But you can see in some of those leaves up there that the cedar rust is coming back. And it's just kind of an annual thing. It's a problem. It's a problem that I don't want to have to deal with. The issues I have is these 3 columnar blue spruce. They've done fabulously well. They're in the southwest corner of my property, forming a windbreak for the whole yard. But I've got a gate in behind and no way to get to it. So I'm going to put in a little pathway here, maybe. Here we are, the cutters hard at work. We're creating a pathway to the gate before we cut the trees down. All right, drop that down, Belle. Let's see what's the pathway look like now. Oh, not too bad. Okay. Helper's doing the Virginia creeper. Knock those things down. Yeah, pull it out. Got it. All right, we're making a dent, very small dent. Looks very different. But, in 2 years, it'll grow back. It'll be even better because you can sit here and you can just, I think I'll have some green grapes today. You just pick them right off the vine. Pretty nice, huh? Wouldn't that be better? So I get shots of it down below. Oh my gosh, look at this. Look at, we've got a pot. I discovered a pot. A hanging basket. You have to take a step back before you can take 2 steps forward. And that's what we did. Now by cutting these things out, it's going to allow other things to grow up better.
And can you tell us what some of those cool things might be?
Well, Arctic kiwi or grapes.
Maybe you could try one year and the other the next.
Okay, let's see. What have we got? It's my workers. Oh my gosh, look at that. My garden just grew. I got all this space now. So I'm going to put some grapes in there, and that'll be fantastic. Totally changed. Open up lots of space. This is the hawthorn tree, the last little remnant. I'm going to get that down and also dig out. So, as you can notice in the background, open up a lot of light. I've totally decimated that hawthorn and that Virginia creeper. And look at, it's opened it right up, totally transformed. I can actually see sky out there, which is nice. Yeah, I got a lot of work to get this chopped up into the compost. But this is called permaculture transition, going from pioneer species, getting a good soil established. And we're going to put grapes in here and persimmons in the background. So You know, I was at the Canadian Tire and picked up some midsummer sales on plants, which I'll show you in a minute. And these will be going in to the garden in the place of the hawthorn and the Virginia creeper, which I just took out a few days ago. So I picked up some grapes here. This is called the La Crescent grape. It's zone 4, full sun exposure. It's a white grape, and you know, it was doing great in the lot, so I'm going to plant it. And also, oh, here's another one. This is called the Marquette grape. It's a purple grape. Again, zone 4. Some good growth. So those are going in where the Virginia creeper was. I also picked up a sea buckthorn male because the sea buckthorns I put in last year, the females are doing great. The male is not doing well. So I'm going to put this in. And in place of the hawthorn, I have a tree. Ooh. Get this set up here. It's getting blown over. This is a hardy mac, very cold tolerant, zone 3. And this was greatly on sale. It's over $200 cheaper than what I was thinking of in these persimmons. So for 60 bucks, I'm gonna put in something I've been wanting for a while now. Yeah, I was looking at trying to graft this onto my other apples, but that just was not successful. So I'm going to use that, put that in place. After that pruning, I still got a lot of cleanup to do. I'm cutting up these blue spruce boughs and putting them around my blueberries, try to acidify the soil. There's the pathway to the outside, which is great. And let's just come down into the area. There's the Virginia creeper. I've got to get those roots out of there. I got great sunlight there. I'm going to put them on either side of that post, and hopefully they'll come up and fill in the space. Hawthorn branches, which I still have to bring up, put in the green barrel. I don't want to put them in the compost because of the fungal disease. And there is the hawthorn stump. I got to dig that out, put the hardy mac in its place. So that's my task, and we'll get going. Shifted things. Well, that's what I got so far. It's about 1 foot deep, 2.5 feet across, and that thing is not moving. So a lot more digging. Okay, brought out the heavy duty tools. Hey, wow, it's hot out here. I think it's enough for now. Let's take a break. Here we are, making progress. But still got a long ways to go, and you know, moving a little bit, but oh boy, still got a long ways to go. There's what's going in place. It's a hardy mac. It's going right in there. It's gonna fill that gap and be very productive. Okay, here we go. Got it out. Okay, here we are the next day, and time to finish excavating that hole, putting in some fertilizer, and getting my grapes planted. So let's get going. There's the excavation. On that post I've got trellising, and I'm going to move a portable trellis that comes down from the post towards that bar. And my plan is to put 3 grapes, 2 that I purchased and 1 transplant. One on the west side of the post where that shovel is, 1 on the south side, just on this side of that post, and 1 near the base of the bar. So each of them will have great sun, have stuff to grow up, so they can grow up. This trellis and post and have to get really big and go right up and attach to the ceiling like my Virginia creeper did. Here's the Marquette. Okay, looking good. And then this is the La Crescent. We go with some clips. Let's get this thing clipped in. That's clipped in. I think I need to get that other trellis for the side one. Okay, all right, that one's in. I've got to do a little cleanup, soak them in, but not too bad. Going upwards and around the other side here, I've moved that other trellis. This guy, that's 5 feet tall, so that'll be good. So my little one here, once it grows, I can trellis it up. This guy, I'm gonna put a couple of clips on. Okay, here's the replacement apple. It's up there, beautiful. So we put some manure tea, donkey poop, and biochar in the base, a couple of buckets, and backfill it with dirt. So, okay, here we are, all done, all cleaned up. There's my new grapes, 3 grapes, trellises to grow up, and there's my hardy mac in the background. So there's a fuchsia. I might try to bring that in and overwinter it. Overwintered once, could do even better. As you recall, this used to be a big hawthorn tree, now an apple, starting to lose leaves. I've harvested and transferred Egyptian walking onions into different places. You see a bunch coming up there. It used to be a Virginia creeper, massive Virginia creeper, and now I've got grapes growing up. And behind here, in the background, just underneath the deck, you can see that hardy mac popping up. The Evans cherry to the left, and to the right in the background is a multi-plum. And then on that brown post at the corner of the deck underneath, I just put in 3 grapes. So that'll be coming up and forming those arbors and nice rooms underneath, but in a couple of years. Backside, there's some nut. Filbert. Here's a spiky apple tree that is going to grow vertically with fruit off the spike. There's another grape that's done very well getting established. It's first year in there, so it's done fantastic. It's going to grow up and expand through here. Wild geranium, and up the side I've got black raspberries, and farther up some more hardy kiwi, and up on top is the hardy kiwi that fruited. Got 360 fruits off that this year. Strawberries infilling, so I've planted a wildflower mix in this bed, in this new bed, and I've been gradually culling out stuff I don't want. Well, good morning. It's the 15th of September, and warming up nicely. It's going to be around 22 today. I wanted to discuss what we're planning for these green stock containers. As you will have noted from previous videos, they were purchased a year ago and put together 2 towers in my master bathroom upstairs. I planted a number of items: tomatoes, cucumbers, onions, Swiss chard, romaine lettuce, bib lettuce, kale, yeah, quite a few things actually. And you've seen the progress of that over the year. Now, overall, I would say they have been fairly successful, and we've got a lot of produce out of it, starting within a month of first putting the plants in the containers. But one thing that happened that I had to deal with is I had bugs. The seedlings I started inside, and unfortunately I had brought in some peppers, and they had aphids and other things on them. So all winter and spring I was fighting off aphids. Fungus gnats were terrible, and I had some white flies. And then on other plants in that room, we had spider mites as well. So starting in about March or April, I dismantled one of the towers and brought it out here onto the deck. And it was here originally, and just put it in the sun, no watering and no plants, and tried to cleanse out the bugs, and then enhanced the remaining tower and focused on tomatoes. And I had like a tomato tower, and that was very successful. I had fresh tomatoes from about February right until June, when I tore it apart. As you can see in the background, and you've seen before, anything above the rail has been hit by the wind pretty bad, and so it's been very difficult for anything to do much. And the stuff down below, we've got some tomatoes, but not a lot. So hasn't really worked as a grow spot. My Swiss chard has done very well, although the leaves have been attacked by some sort of a leaf miner. Like this one here, you can't see it, but some sort of a bug that's getting in and mining in the leaf and destroying it. So what I eventually did with the first tower, and I will with this one shortly, is I reconstructed it and moved it inside one of my mini greenhouses. And inside there I planted some lettuce, and I got some harvest of lettuce off of it. It was okay. Unfortunately, it was very crowded there with big leafy plants, and was right up against the rain barrel. So, and it wasn't in a place where I could rotate it to get light on all sides. So I ended up purchasing some spinner bases from the States, and when they arrived in August, I put it on, and that's helped quite a bit. Now, the one tower is still in the one mini greenhouse on a spinner base, and I've reseeded it with Swiss chard and kale, and there's some lettuce on the top level. And with that, I'm able to spin it in place to get good access to light. And I've also harvested a lot of stuff out of there, so it should be much better, but it's kind of late. It's, mid-September. I've got maybe, with these cold hardy crops, maybe another month or so, 6 weeks of potential growing, although light is diminishing. So we'll see how that does. Bugs have definitely been a problem, and having because they hatch eggs and use the soil as a medium in their life cycle. So that's been a real problem, and it's not something I want to repeat. Fortunately, I was able to close off that room and keep them kind of segregated into that room so they didn't spread all over the house. But we're not doing that again. So I found once I moved them outside, either the bugs dissipated, or there's access to natural predators like ladybugs and lacewings and other things like that have come and actually removed the vast majority of the bugs. So having them outside has been really good from that point of view. And even in the mini greenhouse, you know, there's good access because the side walls are rolled up for predators to get in. So, you know, all in all, I would say, you know, the green stock is as a you know, for fighting bugs has worked much better outside, where it's in a more natural environment. So my intention going forward is to use it in those mini greenhouses, one in each, on a spinner base, so I get good light all around and I can water easily. And so I'll probably use it for crops like Swiss chard, lettuce, and you know, I don't know, I'll have to think about it. You know, maybe cucumbers. I can also plant the very top because I have access to watering from the side, so I don't need to water into the top like I have previously. And anyway, so get a little vertical growing in the mini greenhouse to use that the full volume of that space. So that's my plan for the green stalks. And here I am prepping to sow seeds into these little rock wool cubes, sitting in a pan here with about 1/4 inch of water. So I'm going to sow seeds, a bunch of different seeds. I'll show you those, and then cover the holes with vermiculite to hold the water in and let them sprout. It should take anywhere from 3 days to maybe 3 to 10 days for sprouting. Here we go. First thing is we're going to do some cantaloupe, collards, Swiss chard, market more cucumber, pepper, dwarf blue curled Scotch kale, Bloomsdale dark green spinach, Boston pickling cucumbers, perennial mint, dolce fresco basil, kitchen blend basil, rosemary, Italian oregano, sage, English thyme, and cilantro rani. I'm going to do basically one of each of those. And then these are the seeds that came with the kit. This is Lactuca sativa kale. I'm going to do 2 cubes of that. Arugula, 2 cubes of rainbow chard, basil, bib lettuce, and gourmet lettuce. So let's get going. These small seeds, you put multiple seeds in. There's sage. I'll go across Italian oregano. Tiny seeds. Rosemary, a little bigger. Maybe put 5 or 6 seeds in. Here's some basil from West Coast Seeds. They're tiny, tiny. Second row. There's some Dolce Fresca basil, West Coast Seeds. They're tiny as well. Let's open up my knife here so I can get into this package. Mint, number 7. Gourmet lettuce. Pretty tiny seed. Number 8. Bib lettuce. About 5 or 6 seeds. Smaller seeds. You put in more. Just little tiny lettuce seeds, up to 10 seeds. Like this basil, for instance, I think is pretty small seeds. Big seeds like a squash or pumpkin, probably just 1, maybe 2. And I guess the idea is that when you put them into the system, it'll support multiple seeds. It'll support multiple seeds because the roots just grow down, and the roots will have full access to all the nutrients that they need. Could be kind of crowded at the crowns, but you know, you can cut that out as you harvest, I suppose. This is 11, arugula. So 4 or 5, those are a little bit bigger. Cilantro. Oh, these are big seeds, so let's put 4 in there. Boston pickling cucumber. These are big seeds, so I'll put 3 in. Kale. This is 16 and 17. This is 4 to 6 seeds. These kale seeds are very small. Spinach. So I'll put 6. Dwarf blue Scotch curled kale. Yeah, these Wild Rose heritage seeds are in these Mylar packs, resealable, so that's great for storing them, keeping the light out. Okay, Hungarian peppers. Now I grew some of these in the garden, and I had some good results. So these are bigger seeds. I'm going to put, let's say, I'm going to put 3 seeds in there. Anyway, this is the 3rd year I've got these seeds. I've got 4 more things. This is Market More cucumber. These are, I think, of my other cucumber. I put in 3. So let's try 3 again. These are a bit bigger seeds. This chard. Here are 4 collards. Those look nice. It'd be great to grow these inside where I don't have the white cabbage moth and the worm problem. Whoa! Oh my gosh. Well, I got about 20 seeds in there. And then fast break cantaloupe. I mean, supposedly you can grow melons and all sorts of things in these systems. And we'll do 3 more because this is big seeds, kind of like the cucumbers. So 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. So 24 seeds will be 24 spots. Now I got to put vermiculite over the top. Now, where there's just a little tiny seeds, tiny amount of vermiculite, where it's big seeds, larger amount. These first ones are herbs, they're all tiny seeds. The vermiculite expands and it holds water. It's kind of a layered rock that when it's heated, it expands, it puffs up. But it puffs up and then it's got layers that hold water in between each layer. So it's a great water retention material. These last ones here, I'm gonna fill the holes. All right, so these 24 are going into 24 spots on the tower garden. And I've got 6 tomato cuttings from my hothouse that I'm rooting, and then I'll put those in. So that makes 30, and then there's another 10, I think there's 40 altogether, 40 spots. So another 10, I'm going to get, Safeway's got this system, it's a live food system where they grow food, and they have a unit, special unit in the store where they grow hydroponically herbs and greens and vegetables. So, check those out. They look pretty good. They are. They got tons of herbs. So I'm gonna get eight of their herbs, and supplement what I've started here, and then a couple of big bunches of lettuce or other veggie that will fill the remaining slots on my tower garden. That's the plan, and I need to add water and tidy up, and then put these in a semi-shady spot, not in direct sun, and let them get going. And as soon as they pop up, then I can move them into the sun, direct sun. And eventually when they get 2 to 3 inches tall, then I can move these into the various slots and set up the actual tower garden. So that's it for now. Here's my new tower garden set up with a tower, support cage, and light system. And I'm just waiting for the dolly to arrive. Then I'll be planting out stuff. Now, this is an upper area here with special hooks, so I don't need to use the clips, and it just sits in there. Sits on that little peg. And here's the baskets. Let's take this one out. It just snaps out. There's the basket, and just as easily it just snaps in. Here's the timer for the lights. Basically, it's going to run 15 minutes every hour for 12 to 14 hours per day. So here's my supplies, starting kit, and here's some seeds in rock wool blocks, 3 to 10 seeds per block, getting ready to sprout, and then they'll be transferred into the individual slots. Here's a full tower. There's a reservoir, tower, lights, and support cage on the outside. And it's also got an extension kit. So the tower itself here is about 6 feet tall. I could continue to add extensions if I wanted and go right up to the ceiling, but I think this is good. Now the reason that I went with the garden tower, the green stock, at first is that this is about triple the price of that. That's one factor. Plus, you need to add nutrients on a continual basis. So there's kind of ongoing costs. Now, to be fair, the green stock, you've got costs for the soil and compost and things like that. So, the cost is definitely more expensive for this, but otherwise I think it's going to be the same. And the reason I converted and I'm going with this winter is, again, the bugs with the soilless aeroponic system. I believe that's going to be much more effective. Anyway, here's hoping. Thanks.